Good morning, guys. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make a tower defense game from scratch. This episode is our first episode. I made this right after the crouching and sprinting system thingy. So these are just here, but I'm gonna disable them. Right. Just kidding, I'm gonna keep them. So what we're going to essentially do on today is the enemy system. You know, the enemies of the tower defense game. First of all, we need a path, right? We need a path for the enemies to use. Like, what are they going to walk on if we don't have a path? So we need a path. But oh no, we don't have the enemies. I'm going to make the path like yellow. Yeah, this looks awesome. And then I'm gonna change the thingy to cobblestone. Nah, this looks ugly as hell. Uh, bricks. No, basalt. Basalt. Oh, this looks decent. Then I give it like a proper color. This is a really cool color. I like it. So we're going to make paths for the enemies, and we're gonna actually have to make the enemies. So we go to avatar, character. This is in Portuguese, of course. You make an R6 rig or R15, whatever your choice is. I'm going to make my avatar because I wanna make my own avatar. So yeah. So I'm going to make this rig, right? So I have the rig. This will be like Jubilee enemy. Yeah. So we need like an enemies folder, so we need an assets. Assets is going to be the things we're going to use on the game. Please be organized. You don't need this, like, but you gotta be organized. If you plan on being a professional, you gotta be organized. So this would just be the enemies, and me, it's going to be an enemy, right? I'm going to be your worst enemy. So for this path, we're going to make like a folder, and this will be like our map. Our entire map will be inside this folder. And this is just the path, like the starting path. You can make it like however you want. You can have like a curve here, and then you can come here, and then you can come here, and boom, no secret. Now you have a double path, and then you can make it come here, and then you can make it do it like this, and then you can make it, you can double it here, and then you can make it go here, and then boom, now you have a path. Now we're going to add waypoints. Since this is a beginner tutorial, you shouldn't complain. We're just gonna add waypoints. I'm gonna speed up my camera a bit because it's a bit glitchy. Yeah, this is still a bit slow. This is also slow. Something is wrong with my camera, but I don't care. So I'm just going to add like waypoints. This is going to be the first waypoint. The waypoint is going to be the stuff that your enemy follows, right? So this will be the first waypoint. This will be the second one. I'm not gonna look down there because my camera is glitchy. This will be the second one. This will be the third one. This will be the fourth one. Like, properly, I think it should go at the bottom part because Roblox works weirdly. And I'm pretty sure my character's root position is on the foot. Let me check. So how you're going to check this is essentially, oh, actually, I need to press Control. So what essentially happens? It seems like I'm zoomed in. Maybe there's a keybind. Never mind, I just did something bad. Yeah. How do you know the pivot point of your character? It's this white dot, and mine is at the feet. So I need to make this exactly at the floor. Let me delete this. So what I gotta do is essentially just copy this and then I go, okay, why is control not working? Shift. Then I select multiple of these. Since the parts are one stud big, I need to make them like half a stud inside of the ground. Oh, never mind. You're not a stud big. I'm going to put like, yeah, half a stud. So my character is going to step on the path, right? And so we'll need to name this in order. One, two, three. This is going to be the fourth one. This is going to be the fifth one. The fourth one is not aligned. I'm gonna align it. The fifth one is not aligned. I'm gonna align it. And then we're just sort this in folder Control Alt F, Control Alt Shift F. Have no idea. I'm just gonna do it manually. Group as a folder. This will be the path. And I'm going to put these in another folder because their name will overlap because they have the same name. So it will be like the actual path parts, right? So I'm going to turn this into a model actually because then I can put a highlight. This will be a very good highlight. Let me ungroup. Yeah, path model. So what we have right now is a proper path. So we're going to make the enemy system. This is supposed to be a very easy enemy system. We're going to start with a framework, of course. Then we will have the logic. These will be the packages, stuff we're going to be using to help us make the game. This will be the data, which is essentially like modules that store the settings. Just like having settings. If you want, you can just do this instead and not have any data. But I prefer having this because then you can store like settings and then you can store towers inside here, like folder, towers, enemies, etc. Or you can make modules named after them, so like enemies. And then I'm gonna make like return table. So the first enemy I'm going to add is me. So the name of the enemy is going to be Jubileo. So like we'll make a table inside here, right? Actually, we don't even need to make a table inside here, but this is just easier, right? In my opinion. You can do it like this too. Jubileo string is equal to the table, and then you gotta cover this in these brackets. But then it's easier to just do this. You will learn about it in the advanced tutorial, but you're gonna do like 1 is equal to, yeah, you can do this. You don't even need this, but like this is equal to this. It's the same thing, because this is the first index of the table. I'm not gonna teach you deep into tables because this is a, like you're meant to learn basics in coding before you actually do this. So the first enemy name is going to be Jubileo. Yay. The health is going to be like 50 health. The what else can I add? The walk speed, of course. Walk speed of my character is going to be like 5, and the scale of my character is going to be like 0.5, zero point 0.4. So it's a proper scale. And this is pretty much it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a module. This will be what's handling our enemy system, right? So let me stretch real quick. This will be handling our enemies, and we're going to use uh, a OP, which is like object-oriented programming. But we're not gonna go too deep into that because it's just an easy thing to do. So what we're gonna do is like enemy or like class is equal to table, and then we're going to return the class. And then what we're gonna do is just like, oh, class dot under index is equal to class. Why is that so? Because then you can just set the meta table class to be the index, to be the class itself. Yeah. What this essentially does is that any functions you call from the class will go back to the class and blah 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 blah. So now we will have like class.new, right? And this class.new will be a function, a global function. So class.new, it will take an enemy name, which is a string, and then it will return a table. And this table will be a set meta table, table with set class. So all the functions from class will be inherited to this table that we're returning. And we're essentially going to store basic info, like the name will be the name, the health will be the blah 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 blah. We're going to gather the health later. So give me a sec. We're going to organize the folders, right? So like we need to get the replicated storage first, which is a service. It's equal to game get service replicated storage. Then we're just going to get the assets. We need the assets because this is the enemy. Replicate storage with assets, and then enemy models sounds better. It's equal to assets dot enemy models. The way I write is not like standard code. I write in Pascal case everything. Some other people like to write in lowercase letters at the start, but I think it just looks ugly and sucks even though people enforce it. Yeah, I just have my own coding style. So you need to get the enemy model, right? So like local model is equal to enemy models. Find first child name. You could do enemy models with this, but like if you mess up a name, it will just break. It will give you an error. And then we can do like a third model, and then model for enemy, blah 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 name wasn't found. Please fix OMG fix. This will give us a warning if we set the name wrong. Like imagine it takes Jubileo, right? So I write like Jubileo. Yeah, then it's gonna warn me that it's wrong. Now we have the model. We're going to set the model here. We're going to make a clone of it. And because we need a clone to actually do it, actually, we might just make the clone here. Or we can do just like model is equal to model clone, right? We can do like a global setup, local function global setup, which will just loop through the enemies for I to enemy model. In enemy models, get children. Get children, just get this all the children under here. This is a children, this is the parent. In this case, this is the children of this. It's all about relativity. So for our enemy models, we will be getting like the enemy data. So like a local framework, because now we're going to be messing with code, replicate storage the framework, and then we're going to get the data. It's equal to framework.data because this is where we're storing our information. And then we're essentially just going to go to the enemies table. It's equal to required data.enemies. This is quite simple. I'm just going to store this as enemies data. So I hope you guys can understand what I'm saying. And I hope you guys can understand the tutorial. Even though I go really fast over stuff, I don't think it should be hard for someone to understand. So like local function find enemy, because our enemies are stored in tables of weird indexes. So we need an auxiliary function to find it. So we get a name, which is a string, and then we loop through the entire enemies data thingy. So this will be the index, this will be the actual info in enemies data. And then if the name, so like equal, is equal to, if the name is the same name as the actual info.name, then if it's equal, then we return the actual info and then end. Not that hard, not that easy. It's like in the halfway up there. Then we can just like find the enemy of the enemy model, and then like local info. So we can set the enemy scale, enemy model, set scale, or like scale 2, I think. I need to get the model properties because I forgot. Anytime you forget about type checking of something, you can just do double dots or one dot, and then it's just gonna work. So like scale 2, yeah. And then we're gonna scale to info.scale. That for some reason isn't showing. For this, we can actually have an easy fix like enemies data. We can just like type off enemy data pairs of one. This will give it a type, so like type checking should probably work. Let me remove one. Scale, yeah, it's back to working because we're copying the type checking of this and putting it here. So this is mad useful. Of course, you don't need to do it like this. It's not gonna impact performance, but it's just life. So we're going to get the humanoid because we need to change the walk speed. Humanoid is equal to enemy model.humanoid. We're going to be making a humanoid-based system because it's easier to work with and it's non-replicated. That will be for a future tutorial. I'm going to give you guys an advanced tutorial like one day. Humanoid.walk speed is equal to the info.walk speed. This is easy. I taught you guys this in the last sprinting tutorial. Humanoid has walk speed and most of the stuff you need to worry about. We also need to set like collision groups. So for this, I'm going to do a very easy fix. We're going to make a script here because we can't change collision groups in the client. We don't need to change this, of course, it's just my costume. This will be handle like the collision groups. There is a tab for it. Let me explain how collision groups work. Imagine you have this part and you don't want it to collide with this part, right? So the player can't collide with the enemies, but the enemies have humanoids, so you need to use collision groups or humanoids will break. So if you touch these and this, they're colliding. If you use collision groups, you can make it so these and this doesn't collide. Boom, easy. Players don't collide with enemies. So you just need to make like physics service. It's a service. Create collision group. Oh, it was changed. Oh, see, it changed. Register collision group. This is updated, right? So we're going to register a collision group. This will be for the players. Now we're going to make one for the enemies, because players can collide with enemies. And then we would just like physics service, collision group set collidable. Enemies won't be able to collide with the players, right? Enemies should not be able to collide with the players, so we set it to false. And then we need to assign the players the collision group because the enemies are going to be assigned on the class. The collision groups, they are not, so we're going to have to set them here. It's like a local function, right? Local function. On join, we will be getting the player, and then we get like player.character easily. So like local character, player.character, not players. Player.character. This is a player type of instance. Players.player join. Most stuff you want, you can just find in events like player joining, moving, spawning, players.player added. See, I was just dumb. Connect on join. This is going to, anytime a player joins, it's going to trigger this function and the player argument is going to be sent here. So player.character or player.character wait. .character added. Why do you need this? It's because if the player's character hasn't loaded in it yet, you're not going to have a character. I think it's even better to use like character appearance loaded, because this will actually wait until the character fully loads in. So we're going to be looping to the character instance and character get descendants do like local valid is equal to instance. Oh, is a base part. Base parts are just generic. Everything here is a base part except this, which is a model, and this is a folder. But these are just base parts. A mesh part is a base part. A character mesh, blah 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 blah. Everything is a base part. So if it's not valid, you're not going to return end, right? You're not going to return. You're going to continue end because it's not going to stop the loop. If you do return, it's going to stop the whole function. If you do break, it's going to break the loop. If you do continue, it's just going to the next step of the loop. So you can just add instance dot can collide is equal to false. Maybe. Of course you can. Just kidding. Can collide is equal to false. We need to make it so enemies can't collide with themselves. So enemies can't collide with themselves. This is the easiest fix. So instance dot collision group is equal to enemies. You see that it looks like this. It's blue. It's because there's another function called instance, which creates stuff, instance a new, blah 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 blah. But you guys don't need it for now. This is like a base part, yeah. And you can get the type checking if I hadn't written it wrong. And you can, as you can see, it shows the collision group. So as long as you have this, you can easily get like text for stuff that you need using type checking. So you guys got can collide and you got a collision group. And then this is pretty much it. You can just link the character to this. But there's a problem. If the player respawns, this is not going to assign it to them. So this has a flaw. So what we're going to do next is instead of taking a character, instead of taking a player, we're going to be taking the character itself. So instead of connecting it directly, we're going to get the player here. And then we're going to do like, this is the player's character on join. We're going to call the function using their character. And then player dot character added connect character. So if the player resets, it's just, oh my god, I'm going crazy. Done for the proper, oh my god, okay, it's fine. So when you join, the character is going to be sent to this function, which is going to remove collisions. And when you respawn, it's going to go this, which is going to set the collisions. So player collisions are fine. Next, we're going to make the enemy collisions actually work. We can actually take snippets from this code. We could just boom, and then we can come here, and then we can be like, and then we can change character for the enemy model. And then instead of enemies, no, never mind, it is enemies. So I wrote it wrong because I'm going insane because of the sleep deprivation. This is players. These are the players. This is the enemies. Collision group is going to be their enemies. Blah 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 blah. All fine. So we can just do the global setup before this loads. We can set the enemy scale, the walk speed, the health. We need to set the health. Humanoid dot health is equal to input dot health. Humanoid dot max health is equal to input dot health. This would just set the enemy's humanoid health before it's even directed to something. So now every time you clone a model from here, it's already gonna have the proper stats. So you don't need to edit it every single time. Collision are fine, everything is fine. Yeah, this is fine. So now we have the enemy model, which is just going to be a clone, and we don't need to have this in specific. We have the class, we have the name, we have the model, we have the health. We don't even need to store the health. You can just get it from the model. So the .new is fine, and we just need function class.setup. So the enemy would just walk to the path. Actually, we'll just name it walk to the path, right? And then we can just do function class dot stop walking through the path. I'm just kidding, we don't need this. It will just walk until it's dead or something. So we can just do like, we can remove this from the return. So local enemy is equal to this. We can return the enemy. And we can just do enemy dot walk through the path. Pretty self-explanatory. It will just walk through the path. You need a double dot because this will just send self, right? And I need to make this actually support the double dots. Done. Now self actually exists. So like local model is equal to self.model. Local humanoid is equal to model. Find first child humanoid. So get the human out of the character. You need type checking. Type checking makes life easier. Why do you need to use double dots instead of one dot? If you use one dot, self won't exist. If you use double dots, this is just going to be sent over to this and boom, easy. So you got the humanoid and then the humanoid dot walk to blah, 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 blah. Now we need to get the map. So like local map is equal to workspace on map. Why are you not setting it at the top? Because I plan on making like map choosing or something. So like maps can change and stuff. And then path is equal to map.path. Easy things, easy stuff. So the path has like parts enumerated in order. So we're gonna do a loop for I, which is like path part, and path get children. We're going to use this so we get the length, and the length is 5, of course. Do so like we just do life in the easy way. This is actually the path index. Get children doesn't return stuff in order. Don't try to do it. It doesn't return stuff in order at all. Then it just sucks booty. So like local path part. This is the actual path part. Is equal to the path with the brackets related to the path index. This will go like from 1 to 5 in order. So like 1 gets this, 2 gets this, 3, 4, 5. Easy peasy. And then we're gonna do a loop. While humanoid dot movement. There's like, so there's humanoid move too, and then you can just do it path part dot position, right? But I'm pretty sure if you need to loop it because after 8 seconds this gives up. So why or not humanoid dot? There is a proper one, a proper function, but I forgot which one it is, and I don't think I'm going to bother to check. Why not humanoid dot movement? Humanoid dot direction too. It's not this, it's definitely not this. Repeat until finished. I'm unsure if this works. I'm just gonna test this out with you guys because I actually forgot. So I'm just going to do like test that way. So yeah. So it doesn't lag out. We're just gonna make it wait like 0.1 seconds. It's fine. It's not going to break. So now we can spawn the enemies and then we can make them walk through the path. Now we actually need to parent the model, so enemy.model.parent is equal to workspace. Or we can do it the better way, which is that each time you set it to walk on the path, you just move it to the actual piece before. So like model dot pivot to. This is going to move the model, and it's going to move it to the first part of the path. C frame actually. You need to use C frame. So like model path and path1 dot C frame. It has to have a capital F. C frame is like position but with rotation and stuff. Some stuff doesn't accept only the position. This function called pivot to, it needs a C frame. So we will give it a C frame. This is going to move the character to the first waypoint. This is going to permit it to workspace, right? We're actually just going to make an enemies folder so we can organize stuff easier. So workspace.enemies instead. If it actually type checks, thank you. So now we're just doing everything the easy way. Boom, boom, not that hard. Now we can just like if we already want to try it out. I don't think we even need the class. Let's just ease it out. We can just do this and then we can delete the class. What I did was move the entire code to this, so now we don't need an auxiliary model. So we're just gonna set it to server. Local system is equal to require script.parent, and then like system dot new blah 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 blah. Jubilee. This is going to spawn one of my characters. And oh no, we had an error. Enemy model attempt to index new with scale. Oh no. So the enemy model was not found. So this is a bit weird because it clearly is here and it says it's trying to index new. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print the enemy model and the enemy models and the enemy model itself. It's a better choice. So we can debug and we can find out that Jubilee is indeed still there. It says attempt to index new with scale. So I still have to figure out what causes this, which just means that it wasn't able to find the enemy because I'm stupid. Of course it is. If without scale, so what is going on here? Why is the name not fitting? Let's see. Jubilee, Jubilee, yes. Print equal name actual info dot name. So now we're going to compare both of the names. It's going to return false. Jubilee, Jubilee. So what the hell is wrong with this? Why doesn't it is equal to one another? Only God knows. Let me check. Jubilee, yeah, it's literally the same name. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get the type of them. Print type of name, and then I'm going to print the type of the other name. Type of actual info.name. This way we'll have the types of both of them and we can actually debug. One is an instance and another is a string. So what I'm doing wrong is I'm sending the find enemy with the actual model, which is kind of stupid. I did not notice. My bad for this. But I'm not going to do any major changes to the code for now. Now the error is the model. So what did I do wrong? Of course I did something wrong. I did enemy.model because I'm going insane. Just do model.parent. Boom. Easy peasy. Another error. Oh my god. Number value slash path. What is path? Map.path. Attempt to iterate over a number value. Oh, this is an easy fix. For path with index which is equal to 1, 2, path index. I just did the wrong kind of loop. So it should work. Yeah, it's just working, but it skipped a few pieces of the path. Which is a bit problematic. This is problematic. Yeah. Humanoid.move to. Now I think I remembered the proper one. Move to. Path part.position. And then we're going to like repeat task.wait until humanoid move to finished. So I'm pretty sure this will make the loop. No, it will not. Boom. So it is not moving into the proper direction. And the C-frame is actually wrong, it's flipped. So what am I doing wrong? I'm just going to remove this. And as you can see, it's probably going to start moving. It is. But it has an 8-second max timeout. And after that timeout, it's just going to move. See, it actually didn't reach the part, it just stopped moving. I'm going to remember it soon enough. I just forgot because my memory sucks. I made the parts transparent and removed their collision. But for now, this is pretty much the enemy system. There is no secret to it. We already got an enemy. It doesn't collide with me. It goes through waypoints. And it is able to reach the end, of course, as long as I'm not dumb enough to do something like this. This just means that I suck at the game. Yay! To string path index. Don't do the same mistakes as me. Of course, like if you use your brain heavily, you're not going to make the same mistakes as me. It should work. It doesn't work. Why does this say the number 3 is not a valid member of folder workspace.map.path? Let me check. Workspace.map.path. Because it's gone? Of course it's gone. I forgot to anchor everything. My bad, guys. Now it should work easily. Let me increase the Jubilee walk speed to like 16, so it walks like a normal human. And as you can see, it just walks through the entire path, no problem. Goes, and then goes, and then comes here, and then reaches the end. It's not that difficult, and after it reaches the end, we can just make it so the model gets deleted. So this is like an actual tower defense game now, when we can spawn like 500 enemies for I, which is equal to 1 to 500. I'm just kidding. I'm only going to spawn 100. So we can just spawn 100 enemies, and it's just going to work fine. Of course, it's going to work fine if you don't run it in a close. Oh, this will just make it so it doesn't yield. What is yielding? Yielding is basically when a code is waiting for another code to complete. So right now the code is not spawning 100 enemies because it's waiting for this guy to finish walking. So what I did is just I stopped it from waiting, so now we can have 100 of me walking around. It looks a bit glitchy, but it's because it's server-sided. And if you set the proper ownership, the network ownership, it's going to be just fine, and it's not going to have weird lags like this. How do I set the ownership? What you're gonna do is essentially get the root part, local root part. It's equal to model.human part. Every character has this. R6, R15, or custom characters, they usually all have this. And then you just do like root part after you get the type checking, base part. Set network ownership auto, or like set network ownership. I can just set this permanently to the server, I think, instead of setting it to the players. And it should stop with the bugs. Maybe. I think. Hmm. Set network ownership auto. Set network owner. Oh my god, I'm dumb. Hey, you can just set it to new. I'm stupid. Used the wrong function because I'm tripping. Yeah, so now it's just working. It's just working fine. Yeah, it just works. Yay! And then it just gets deleted right at the very end. Well, guys, we finished the enemy system. This is all for today. Bye bye.